Welcome back to the Tracy Take. I am Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and today we are breaking down our Atlanta Falcons 3-round mock draft. We did a mock draft for all 32 teams, and so this is going to be the Falcons' couple of selections here for the 2024 NFL Draft. But before we do that, we have a fun housekeeping announcement. If you like putting a couple bucks on the games, the Tracy Take now, we actually have our first sponsor here. We partner with Bet USA. So hit that link down below. They're doing 125% promotional match for all first-time users. So be sure to check out the link, check out some of the betting options they have from football, then to March Madness, or even horse racing, whatever you want. And so it's a lot of fun to go travel around. Be sure to hit that link below. And with that being said, Ryan, let's pull this up here. Falcons. They've been kind of busy. I was actually not really busy. They just did one giant cannonball, I would say. And so they made a couple other moves as well that I like, and I still think sets them up for any potential option with their 8th overall pick. But signing Kirk Cousins, quarterback of the short-term near future. So at least for 4 years, he got paid. Welcome to Atlanta. Kirk, you are welcome on the podcast anytime, if you couldn't tell, as I'm a Falcons fan. So would love to do an interview. If you actually somehow watch this video, that would be kind of amazing. That'd be amazing in and of itself. But I'm kind of glad that we just stopped. Like we don't have to worry about what the quarterback position is going to be. I also like to, as well, some of the offseason moves that we've made overall. And just got Darnell Mooney. I think he's just going to be a good compliment. I don't think he's a great receiver, but he's not a bad receiver. I think the trade for Rondale Moore, maybe I'm biased, but I think that we definitely got the best end of that deal overall. And at minimum, for Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Rondale Moore, and I know we're going to address receiver in the draft somewhere else. I have my opinion now on where they're going to be drafting a receiver. I still like that receiver room. It's a lot better than it was last year. So can't complain over that. I think the biggest one of the underrated signings, re-signing Nate Landman as well. He had an amazing season, got him for a very affordable contract. And the guys that we moved on from, not to like, thanks for playing with us, but it's not like it's a major loss overall, in my opinion. So what are some, obviously outside of Kirk Cousins, but well, I guess that'll be the question I ask. What do you think Kirk Cousins brings now to this Falcons team as they enter into the 2024 draft?
He is, I don't want to say an elite quarterback, but he brings top 10 quarterback play to the Falcons, where now you guys are a serious contender, because before I thought you looked at this team and you're like, all right, they have good playmakers. This defense was playing really, really well. You go out, you get a defensive head coach. This defense should theoretically be even better. And then you have consistency on the offensive side of the ball in Kirk Cousins, who can dish out to these young playmakers in Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and now Darnell Mooney, Rondale Moore. Right. And to me, the Rondale Moore trade, not only did you offload Desmond Ridder, but you got Rondale Moore back for it. And I was like, that to me is just a really nice move that they did. So
yeah, I think we, as a low risk, high reward type of trade for us, and I think moving on from Desmond Ridder, we keep Taylor Heineke, have a little more of that veteran backup experience. And so I would have been indifferent if we kept Desmond Ridder, because this maybe is an unpopular opinion, but there were definitely flashes that you could see Desmond Ridder, like he looks like he could be a starting NFL caliber quarterback, but then there was just the brain farts. And so I'm looking forward to hopefully not having to deal with that overall. But let's move on, though, to the 3-round mock draft. Falcons have 4 picks in the top 100. And so we end up selecting Dallas Turner here. One of the things I might have maybe Easter egged this a little bit, just because they've made all those receiver moves, in my opinion, does not obviously then take them out of the running for drafting a receiver. I think if Rome Odunze falls to them, or if Malik Neighbors falls to them, with what this regime has kind of prioritized best player available, we've absolutely seen them go with best player available. And I think on everybody's board, they're going to have Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze higher on their board than Dallas Turner. I think the way the board played out, I think you had Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze go 4, 5, 6. And so here you got the Falcons. I have them going with Dallas Turner, potentially trading back. We thought a lot about trading back, but I'm looking at the board as of right now. Bears, I don't think are going to want to trade up. The Jets have limited draft capital, and I don't really know who they would take. That like there's a couple options. I could see them falling to them, like Olu fell to them, obviously, but I could see them going Olu, could see them going Brock Bowers. All guys I think that they could be there unless they just truly love them and not to give up draft capital. Minnesota doesn't have much draft capital. Denver doesn't have that much draft capital. The Raiders maybe, but if they were wanting to trade up for a quarterback, they signed Gardner Minshew, and then the Saints are at 14. So I don't know who they would have wanted to
Also,
trade.
I don't think the Falcons and the Saints are striking any deals.
Absolutely. So
yeah.
I'm all for a trade back because I think we'll probably go any defensive player, whether it be Quinion Mitchell or Nate Wiggins in the cornerback room, or Cooper Jean even, or if they want to go Dallas Turner or Byron Murphy or Jared Verse. I think I'm totally fine with them taking any one of those players. For trading back, I'm just curious. I don't know who behind them has the draft capital to move up. Unless if you get farther down to where you get to like a Seattle or Jacksonville or Cincinnati, who fall in love with the guy, but would they really want to sacrifice a first? Because that's what it would take to move up those 9 spots. So that's where I find it very unique. I think Dallas Turner here is a great selection just in general, so don't even overthink it. That's just kind of my thoughts on it. What are your thoughts on them going?
Yeah, I mean, I actually think you look at what the Falcons did this offseason. I think to me the last need on this team is to get a dominant edge rusher. And if you're sitting here at 8, the drop off from 8 to I believe what would it be 42 or 3 in the second round. I mean, there realistically could be no starting edge rushers left. At that point, you'd be in the rotational guys with like the Chop Robinsons and the Adisa Isaacs of this draft. And Dallas Turner's an every down edge guy. He's going to be that force on the edge. So I think if Rome Odunze is there at 8 and Dallas Turner's still on the board, I think it's kind of a toss up on who they would actually take. So
I could see them going Rome Odunze, but at the same time, the two, I could see teams trading up, being like, we want this receiver, and be like, okay, I mean, like if they have on their board Dallas Turner and Rome Odunze as 1-2 or as like the same points level, they'll be like, okay, let's trade back, and then like we can still go get Dallas Turner or another defensive player. So that's where it's very unique. I don't really think that they're in a lose-lose. I think they're in a win-win situation no matter what they do at number 8 here. So speaking of second-round picks, let's go to the second overall pick that they have in the draft. I have them going with TJ Tampa here in the cornerback position. They absolutely could go receiver as well. I think a guy like Ricky Pearsall, who was taken right before, I think would be a solid fit. But also on top of that, too, we'll get to receivers here in a second. There's a lot of good receivers that are going to fall in that 70 to 90 type range here in the third round. So a guy like TJ Tampa here, they did move on from Jeff Okudah. Clark Phillips, I think, is going to be a great cornerback in the league, but he is on the smaller side. I think he's going to be more of a nickel corner. So I think still going and getting an outside corner to go alongside A.J. Terrell, I think is a phenomenal move for them. And this is where, as I mentioned earlier, they trade back and they end up getting Quinion Mitchell or Nate Wiggins. I think that's still a phenomenal setup there, because we can still go focus on edge rushers here. A guy like Jonah Ellis was still on the board. Let me even go and see when Chop Robinson was taken a little bit earlier. Chris Braswell was taken a little bit earlier before this pick. Adisa Isaac was also still available, who actually ended up going to the Saints at pick number 52 in our mock draft. So there's a lot of other different avenues and routes they can go. But TJ Tampa, he's definitely in the best category, in my opinion, of those early day 2 type corners.
Yeah, no, I agree. Just his physical size and athleticism, I think, sets him apart. So let's move on to this third round pick here. I believe it's the first of 2. Brendan Rice, the wide receiver from USC, great physical traits, a very competitive guy. He has the mentality you want in an outside wide receiver. And physically, 6'3", 215. He's just a huge guy. He moves really, really well, has consistent hands. Not the most productive at USC, which you would hope, especially in a Lincoln Riley system where Caleb Williams is throwing him the football. But I just think that offense had struggles of its own, mainly starting at the offensive line. And then outside of Brendan Rice, there weren't too many other guys that were, I guess Taj Washington is probably mid to late day 3 guy in this class. But again, I really like this pick. Solid receiver here. Going to be more that outside guy. And to me, not only is Brendan Rice a good pick, but I think he also frees up Drake London to play more across the formation, which is something that he thrives doing.
Yeah. And so I think a guy like, to me, when I look at it, Brendan Rice, Jalen McMillan, Jamari Thrash, Johnny Wilson, those guys right there, they're all going to provide different unique skill sets. Overall, I think Brendan Rice might be the overall more well-rounded, like just kind of polished receiver, so to say. While guys like McMillan, Thrash, or Wilson have their own like very unique like thing about them to be a wide receiver. And I agree with you completely. I think that he'd just be a great compliment to Drake London, who you're going to want to go and have he is the guy there for Atlanta. So I think getting him here at 74, that's kind of why maybe you don't push it overall on getting a receiver in the first or second round, unless if a guy falls to you that you just fall in love with, then I'm all for going there. So they're picking a couple picks later here at pick 79. So this is actually we have Cedric Van Pran, the center from Georgia here. Matt Hennessy did end up moving on, and he moved to Philadelphia to play for them. And they did also re-sign Ryan. I apologize if I mispronounced this, but Ryan Neusel. So he was one of the practice squad guys that came in and played decently well when Drew Dahlman went hurt. And so Drew Dahlman right now is a starting center, but I still think that this is a potential possibility where they go and try and improve the offensive line overall as a whole. I say this is probably the weakest link, I would say, on the offensive line, because I like the progression that Matthew Bergeron has made at left guard. Jake Matthews is one of the more solid left tackles in the league. Not the best, but definitely not the worst. Then you have Chris Lindstrom, one of the best right guards in the league, and then Caleb McGarry, who's been making strides overall, and also too, he's on contract for the next couple of years. So, say what you want with that opinion there. But I think center, though, I think it's a very unique spot for us to try and keep improving. And with this kind of luxury pick, or with this pick, or you could say even with the pick a couple picks before, it's kind of the luxury pick on who do we want to take. I think in a guy like here's Cedric Van Pran, I think the best of the centers after JPJ and Zach Frazier. So I think getting him here and like throwing him in there, let's just kind of see what happens. I think you could absolutely go defensive line here, but one of the areas too with the defensive line, there is a big drop off. It seems like from 50 to 100 in the overall prospect list on the defensive line side of the ball. So we'll just have to kind of go in overall and see what are your overall thoughts on this pick here, Ryan.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, on this offensive line, you have getting Kirk Cousins, you're going to want to protect him, and the weak spot is that center position after losing Matt Hennessy. And I think coming in, he is a pro-ready center. I just think interior offensive linemen, their positions get devalued because I don't want to say like they're not like running backs where they're replaceable, but it's not. There's not so few like there are tackles that play at a high level. So getting him here in the third round, I think it is good value. He's going to come in and compete for a starting role on your offensive line, and just I think kind of as a whole in this Falcons draft, they went out, they got 4 guys in the top 100 that are going to come in and compete for significant reps in their rookie year. So, and I think that is a successful draft. So,
yeah, no, I think it's very unique the way that they've done a great job of setting up this team for success. And there's even a couple of guys as well that are still technically free agents that we didn't even mention that they had left just because we don't know if they had officially retired or not. But like they can still go get a guy like Calais Campbell here. Maybe they don't, or they still go try and get Dallas Turner, or then like defensive line isn't as big of a priority early on, and so then they try and make a big splash. So we'll just have to go and see. It's going to be interesting to see what the Falcons do because they're that first spot where if teams want to trade up and go and get their guy, I think that's the spot that they go do it because the first 7 picks in front of them, I think are pretty set.
Yeah, I agree. Unless like massive amounts of picks are being moved to get into that top 7, especially top 5. So let's go ahead and wrap this one up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. And if you do want to bet on any of the March Madness games, bet the ponies, or bet on who is going to be drafted where, click that link down below and help out the channel with BetUS. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.